This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome back to my channel. Just a quick little update. Nick and I actually moved again, and you can check out this post on my Instagram if you're curious as to why, because I'm probably not going to make a dedicated video about it. But with all that being said, let's get into some of the simple meals that I made before we moved out of the loft. I hope you like them. So our oven didn't work in the loft, and I was really grateful that I have an air fryer to cook mostly my starchy veggies in, like the sweet potato. An air fryer just uses circulating heat to fry, in quotes, fry foods with little to no oil, which is pretty cool. Since living without an oven for 2 months, I learned that I can also use the air fryer to do a bunch of other random things like roast pumpkin seeds, bake cookies. I would freeze the batter and then bake 4 cookies at once in there, and make chips, and obviously just heat up my leftovers too. I was craving a savory breakfast on this day, so I just cut up a sweet potato to bake. Sweet potatoes, or potatoes in general, need to be cut up pretty small to cook in the air fryer, so I was going for kind of a French fry size here, and these cooked in just about 10 minutes, which is great. I added a really small amount of avocado oil to these just to make sure that the seasoning would stick really well to them, and I just kept it really simple with salt and pepper and garlic powder. They came out nice and crispy, as you can see, but I ended up shaking them and sticking them back in for 3 more minutes just so that they were all nice and evenly cooked. I wanted to use leftovers that I had in the fridge for this meal, so this is me trying to find things that would taste good together. I had some peppers and celery in the swag bag, but I didn't feel like cutting them up and cleaning them, so then I thought maybe I would make a dip out of this Siete vegan nacho cheese, which is so good, by the way, and the glass jar is the perfect size to reuse. I love it so much. But then I remembered that I had this tamari marinated tofu that I needed to eat. I know it looks kind of gross here, but I promise it's good, so I decided to go with that. And then I also had some blanched, then frozen broccoli that I added in for good measure. If you guys would be interested in seeing some things that I do to help reduce my food waste and preserve my food, let me know. Maybe I can make a separate video about that. I don't remember how long exactly I put the tofu in for, maybe 5 minutes. And then I probably should have taken the broccoli out at this point, but I didn't. I just flipped everything over and then cooked it again for maybe another 3 minutes, but it all turned out really good. I added some tofu to my veggie plate along with these gorgeous, fancy French breakfast radishes that were in my CSA box this week. I cleaned them and stored them in water in a mason jar in the fridge just to make sure they stay nice and crunchy. And then I also had some parsley that was in my CSA box, so I've just been kind of sprinkling that on everything for some extra flavor, and it also makes everything feel kind of fancy too. And then I added a bit of hot sauce, and that's it. I really love little plates like this. Some avocado or fermented veggies would have been a great addition, but this was really flavorful and filling. A friend of mine gave me this chair recently, and I've been pretty much sitting in it exclusively. It's so comfortable, and around 11:30 it would get so much nice warm light in the loft. Up next, I'm chopping up veggies for sort of a makeshift black bean soup sort of recipe. I'll leave the real recipe linked in the description for you, but I ended up adding quite a bit more veggies than what it originally called for because I had them on hand. And again, this is a sweet potato. I know it looks like a normal one, but it is a sweet potato. And making a big pot of veggie soup is such a great way to use up produce that may be almost going bad, or stuff that you have that you just don't know what to do with. Christine and I made a video about cooking methods to reduce food waste a while back, so I'll link that for you here if you're interested and haven't seen it yet. Because I had more carrots than what would really work in this recipe, I ended up cutting some up and just leaving them, to keep in the fridge for snacking or cooking in the future. I love pre-prepping foods like this ahead of time because it just makes it so much easier to snack and cook in the future. And it makes it so much easier for me to see what I have on hand too, because there's not just a bunch of random bags in the fridge. While we're talking about food prep, I love pre-chopping onions and keeping them in a jar in my fridge too. This might sound weird, but I seriously love it. I have a spiralizer that I used to use to make zucchini noodles with a lot, but I haven't really been doing that too much recently, maybe once the weather starts to get warmer again. But for now, I've been using it pretty much weekly to chop up or to spiralize up my onions like this, and I think it's so worth it. It's so nice to have them pre-prepped in the fridge, and they break down so nicely into soups or other cooked meals because they're sliced so thin. I use this program called Plan to Eat to organize my recipes, and it just makes them really easy to find, and it also helps me like meal prep in general, and it makes cooking a lot faster in my opinion. You basically have all your ingredients and instructions in a really simple to read view, and it also can help you create shopping lists from your meal plans right in the app too. So not sponsored obviously or anything, I just really like it, and I think it's helped me simplify my cooking and shopping process a lot. I can do a separate video about it if you are interested. I've been using it for like 3 or 4 years now. I usually soak my beans before cooking them, but I didn't here, and it really reminded me why I always need to soak them before I cook them, because when I soak them, they cook faster. Soaking them makes them easier to digest too, in my opinion, and I generally just like leave them on the counter in a cup of water overnight, so it's really simple. And on this particular day, they were taking a really long time to cook, so the rest of my veggies were a little softer than they normally would be, so I ended up just blending everything up in the Vitamix to make it a little bit more appetizing. I don't know if that's the right word. It definitely didn't look great because it's, black beans, but it tasted really good. And I ended up serving this over some quinoa that I had left over in the fridge. This definitely isn't the most beautiful meal I've ever made, but it's what I really had for dinner, and yeah, that's all. This is my favorite Caesar salad recipe. If you aren't into salad, I highly recommend this dressing recipe. I feel like I've shared it before, but everyone I make it for really, really likes it. It's cashew based, and just like the dried beans, I always soak my cashews before blending them because doing this really helps me to create a nice, smooth dressing. I generally have one big salad every day, so I like to wash all my romaine at once and just store it in the salad spinner. It seriously lasts so long this way, and having it prepped ahead of time makes, putting meals together a lot faster. I also make this nut-based Parmesan sort of deal. It's also from Oshi Glows, which is the website that I found this dressing on, and I make a larger batch because it lasts a while in the fridge and it's great on top of other things like pasta or even soup. So you can change up the nuts and seeds used in the recipe. This time around I used almonds and Brazil nuts, and then added nutritional yeast and some other spices like garlic powder, turmeric, and smoked paprika. This is the quinoa from earlier. I just made it in my Instant Pot, and it only takes a minute to cook, which is kind of wild, but then you do have to wait 10 minutes to allow the pressure to release a little bit, but it's so easy to cook. I love it so much, and that's my salad. And then I did air fry some garbanzo beans on top that I cooked with garlic and smoked paprika. Thank you so much to Squarespace for supporting my channel and sponsoring this video. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform to build your website and run your business. With Squarespace, you can easily create a beautiful, professionally functioning website with no coding or web design experience required. They offer thousands of easy-to-use, drag-and-drop style designer templates that you can customize to your liking or use just as they come. Every template is automatically optimized for mobile use, and Squarespace offers its award-winning 24/7 customer support to you if you ever need help with anything. So if you're interested in updating what you're doing online or starting something completely new, go to squarespace.com/Alli Cherry for your free trial and 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.